Hi there, neighbor. How is your winter vegetable gardening going? Have you been able to get stuff going quick enough? Because I feel like that's part of my problem right now is there's so much to do and I cannot turn it around fast enough. So the other day we were able to get the beginnings of our backyard vegetable garden in place, but now I need to start dealing with the plant side. And so what we're gonna be doing today is I'm gonna be trying to make soil blocks for the first time. Hooray! This is very much non-expert advice. We're gonna just do our best. We're gonna use what we have on hand, and I'm gonna just look forward to all the feedback y'all are gonna give me because you guys have taught me so much. So today what we'll do is I'm gonna show you. Let's go. So we're not gonna be out here. We're gonna go hang out on the patio. And I don't know about you, but it's a really nice time of year, so it's a nice time to just be outside. Well, maybe not in North Florida, but at least in Central South Florida, it's a lot nicer for many of the days. And so what we're gonna be doing is hanging out on the patio, and we're gonna start working on our seed starts while Miss Shiloh goes and sniffs and digs around. And Mr. Teddy Bear, he's up and moving, and he's wandering around on his newly cleared path. So I've gone and set up everything right here. So I've got my supplies as best I can. I just pulled stuff together. It's gonna get a little weird for a minute, but that's okay. One of the things I'm really excited about this year with seed starting is I'm gonna get to do it a little bit differently. A lot of the years when I've started in the plastic trays, and I don't know about you, but I really struggle to get little seedlings out of the tiny trays. Like I feel like I kill more than, yeah, I don't feel like I do a good job at that. So I'm really excited to try these little soil block things, because the whole idea is that you don't need to put them in a plastic tray. So like one, that's really good for the environment. And two, I feel like I'll kill less plants. In theory, that's the idea. So for Christmas, my parents got me these little soil blockers. They had no idea what they were. They were just like, oh, you sent me the link, which I can share the link for you guys too down below. They're like, my dad was literally like, he's like, I don't even know what this is, but you can have it because you really want it. Which isn't that the best kind of gift? They don't have to appreciate it like it, but they know you want it so bad. So they're like, here you go. So I got a little mini soil blocker, and I got the, whoa, it sounds quite hefty, the bigger soil blocker. And if you've never heard or seen of soil blockers, because it's pretty new to me, I think I learned about it from Jim Kowaleski, who's usually like interviewed over on Pete Canaris' channel. The whole idea with doing soil blocks is that it's all soil. There's nothing around it. They sit in these cute little cubes, almost like sugar cubes if you've never seen those before. That's the size of the little mini ones. And the whole idea is that once the root hits the air, it basically air prunes. It kills off the roots from extending. So it stops like it wrapping around and around and around on itself. So that when you do put it in the ground, it'll just continue to send roots out quickly. So in theory, a couple things. One, you're not using plastic, but two, the idea is that your plants should be faster at adapting once they are in ground, because they never have to like course correct from the plastic containers. That's the idea. Well, not even just plastic container, any kind of container. So you start with like these little ones that put out the little sugar cube blocks, and then you move to the bigger ones. This one needs like WD-40 or something. And they put out giant blocks, but then you see how it's got the little cubie in there. So then when it makes its soil blocks, they'll be bigger, and you just pick up your little one and you just drop it in. So you're not really agitating the roots of the plant. So the idea is it's gonna be better. So we're gonna try it out. So join me today as we go and try this out. So I'm gonna show you my little setup for today. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying this is what I'm going with. So I have some container mixed soil. It's something I had on hand, so I just figured I'd use it. Water to go and hydrate the soil. I've got my planner so that know how much I'm supposed to make of everything. A bin to put the soil in, because we won't need a lot because we're only going to do these little cubies. I've got these out, plus the instructions for how to make the cubes, a tray to put them on. It's fine. We're just gonna go with this. And then tons of seeds, which I have to pull out the ones I'm gonna use. So if you remember in one of the previous videos, which I'll link down below, we laid out our plan. So we could figure out how much mulch and soil we need. And then what I did, I told you guys off cameras, I started to calculate how many little seedlings do I wanna try to get. So I've got those down here in my planner. So I just made like a rough list when we originally did the plan, but then I kind of calculated out based on the spacing, how many, when it says like 3 times, it means like three sets of these, of the different types of crops that I want to focus on. And primarily I want to make sure that I at least get the cold weather crops done, even if I don't have time to like finish doing like the warm weather crops. That will be the primary focus today. So one of the first things we're gonna do is we're going to hydrate the soil, because you don't wanna use dry soil. You wanna use, how'd they say it? They said that you want the soil mixture to be like soft putty. So very, very muddy, very mushy, very wet, and out to the point that when you have it between your fingers, it like actually leaks water back out. So we're gonna have to like pour some in, mix it up, pour some more water in, and just do that for a minute. So let's get going with that. Now I'm not gonna use up this whole bag just because we're not doing that many starts. The intent is this is one and done for at least a little bit, for a few weeks. Okay. So now that that's half full, I just got water from the sink. We're just gonna add, and then I'm gonna mix. Now the big thing with bag soil, or just like any soil that you're gonna buy, it's gonna be hydrophobic. Hydrophobic just means you're afraid of water. That's what it literally means, in the old like Latin Greek. But the big thing is that if you think of it like a kitchen sponge, basically it's dried out so much that the cells are so tight together that the water really can't penetrate. So what we have to do is we've got to kind of like pour it, let it absorb. Because like think about the sponge in your kitchen sink, like right, if you just turn on the faucet and let it hit the sponge, it just like the water just bounces right off. So it kind of sits there for a second, and then eventually like once it starts to absorb, it like goes up really quickly. So it's kind of the same idea with soil. Now looking at the soil, there's a lot of like mulchy type items in this. This is not gonna be good for these little soil blocks. And like I said, I am not an expert on doing soil blocks. Just from logic, I can figure out that that's not gonna work very well. So I think normally it would probably be good to like sift or just like make your own mix from like a finer powder, but this is what I have. So this is what we're gonna go with for now. But I would love to hear your guys' recommendations on like, where do you get your mixes from? Like, is it something I can buy from a Home Depot and Lowe's, or like a common garden center? Because I'm totally open to that. I'd love to hear your guys' suggestions on places to get, or brands or types to get to make soil blocks. Like, what have you used and been successful with? Because next time when I make these, I will be much better prepared. So these water bottles hold about like 32 ounces, and I'm close to being done with the first one. And I would say of the soil, it's looking like this is at least a 2-to-1 ratio, or a 1-to-1 ratio at least, of water to soil right now, just for context. So I've been mixing for a minute, and it looks like it's about a 1-to-1 ratio of, no, probably 2-to-1 soil to water. And what I'm doing to kind of see if it's hydrated enough is I'm mixing it. But then what I do is I kind of scrape it and I look to see is any water kind of just coming out. And it looks like it is. Now, according to like the soil block people, besides like squeezing it, is that ideally you would have done this like a few hours ago. And I think the intent is that just because the soil takes like a while to absorb, you know, then you can be really sure it's really saturated. But I don't have time to do that today, so we are just gonna go with it, and we're just gonna move on to the next step. And if I do this totally wrong, we'll know in a couple weeks or maybe a couple days. But my theory is that I'll learn something. And I can always get more seeds started like in 2 more weeks. Because what I expect is you guys are gonna give me fabulous advice, and I'm gonna be way better at this next time around. So let's get going on trying to press these out. So the instructions say, now that I've saturated my soil, is the next thing we wanna do is press the soil blocking mixture 2 to 3 times to fill the chamber, these being the chambers, and use like a twisting motion to ensure that they're all the way full. That makes sense. I'm not sure how that's gonna work with all that mulch in there, which I'm a little worried about. And then you're gonna scrape the blocker on the side to get rid of any excess, and then to press the plunger to eject. And then you put the seeds in. Oh, and it says we shouldn't need to water for the first 2 to 3 days. But I have like a little spray bottle. That's my intent, is to use like a little spray bottle to kind of just keep these going. So good to know though that I forget tomorrow, that I won't totally screwed up. But actually my intent is to keep him, so what I used to do with all my little seed starts is I used to keep them on that end of the house by the compost bin. But that wasn't a really great place because I honestly don't go that side of the house as often as like we come out this back door to take the dogs out multiple times a day. So I figured if I put it right here with like a spray bottle right on hand, the odds are statistically higher that I will maintain watering of these seedlings. That's the theory. We'll see if that's what actually happens. Okay, so let's go ahead and start making these little seed blocks. Okay, so we have our seed mixture. I don't know if this is a little too loose. We will see how this works. So I put it in, I compress it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. And then I take a twisting motion. Nothing's sticking. Oh no. I think I put too much water in. Because nothing, like even though I'm putting it in here, like if you look, like nothing's really going in these seed blocks. Oh, one filled. So we're gonna course correct. We're gonna add more soil in here because I think, because I'm really just not getting it sticking. And I think that's because it's just too wet now. And just letting it sit for a while, it's like you can just see water pooling out of it. So we're gonna add more soil. We're gonna mix again. So be right back. This is where we're at consistency wise. I think, so I feel like it's just a tiny bit dry. So I'm gonna add just a tiny bit more. And I'll mix that in. I think that will be better. This time it looks way more crumbly. It still sticks together, but I don't see water pouring out of it. But we'll see. This is literally my first time doing it, so I could be wrong about this too. So let's try those seed blocks again. Okay, so take it, squishy, squish, 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 wiggle. It still looks like there's a lot of water coming out. It's just not still too wet. You know what? If I scrape it a little bit, it seems to be better. There we go. Okay. So like kind of like scraping it seems to work a little bit better for me. So it looks like they're not completely filled, and that might be because of the mulch, but maybe that's allowing the smaller particles to get in there. That looks better. Okay. And then if I scrape it along the edge, what do we got? How do we feel about that? How do we feel about that? All right, let's pop our first one out and see how it looks. Oh, look at that. They're very mushy. That's the first set. You can see the indentations. I wouldn't say they're as clear as the ones I've seen online. And that might be because more of the soil type that we've got. So we'll try another one. And we'll see how we do on round 2. Yeah? Well, what else are we gonna do? Just gotta keep trying. Okay, so I'm doing kind of my scraping thing like I did last time. I'm moving it around, wiggling it in. Oops. You know what? I keep doing that on accident. Would it be easier just to take this and like push it in? And why does that not work? Tell me why that's a poor choice. Okay, look at that one. I feel like that's better. I don't know if those look better. I feel like pushing it in with the shovel works a lot better because what keeps happening is as I'm trying to like push down into the soil, I keep pushing this, which then pushes the soil back out, which I don't think really is counter to what we're trying to do. It didn't fill it as well. These are very choppy looking little ones, the second round. So, but I feel like we're onto something. I feel like this is working better than trying to just like slam it in there, especially with the mulch issue that we have. Scooping it and spreading it more bakery style seems to be better. So let's keep trying and we'll see where we go. So I'm getting close to being done with what I can fit on this tray. And I feel like I got better. I feel like I learned things. I feel like it was a journey. So let me show you kind of where we're at and what seems to be working okay, plus some of the problems that are arising specifically because of the soil choice. So first off, I'd like to say I'm proud that I actually got this many done so far. It's only taken me a couple minutes. I do feel like the indentations are coming along, but the mulch is clearly creating some challenges, so there's some holes. I don't know if waiting hours would have made a difference with the soil, like with the water saturating or not, because if you had added too much, it would just be pooling, but maybe you pull it off the top. I don't know. As a question mark, something for me to experiment more on next time. But I do think it did have some impact. The mulch is a big problem, so you definitely want something that's very fine, comparatively speaking. So you hear that noise? That's Miss Shiloh. Here's the current best technique is I kind of take this and I squish it a little bit and I kind of try to scoop, and that gets them sort of filled. And then I come back in with the shovel and then I kind of try to push like this, and I kind of do this wiggling motion to try to get it in. And then of course the mulch doesn't want to get in, so we wipe that off, which is making it harder as we go because there's more and more percentage of mulch in here. But since we're close to being done, that's okay. We're just gonna try to push and wiggle and push and scrape and wiggle, and okay, and then it kind of looks like that. And then we're gonna take it and that's it. I think that's the thing. This is definitely a learning journey for me. Definitely a learning journey. Okay, let's get this last one done. Okay, so now we're gonna grab some seed packets. My dog is a nut. Grab some seed packets, we're gonna throw some seeds in here. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna do some romaine lettuce and some butter crunch lettuce, because butter crunch lettuce is amazing. I'm also got a little bit of little gem almost like carrots, lettuce. And then I have, depending on how many like seeds I have, I've got onions here and onions and onions. And then I'm going to do a little bit of broccoli and cauliflower. So yes, that's what we're gonna do. We're only gonna use my little 9Zs here, so we'll just see how it goes. It says you only need to put 1 seed per block, but I don't know that I'm gonna be able to grab 1 lettuce seed at a time. Romaine, this little gem. These seeds are a little bigger, so I might be able to only do 1 per square without accidentally just dropping them. I'm also gonna just do these Walla Wallas since I'm not sure what those ones are. Next one we'll do is cauliflower, broccoli. You know, I'll probably do like this much peppers and these couple as some San Marzanos. Oh my gosh, by comparison. So much easier to place, so much easier to see. Okay, so let's all remember together that the peppers are on the outer 3 rows because we don't need as many tomato plants, honestly. And I'll do some in ground and I'll buy a couple. But peppers, we really wanted to get a lot more peppers this year. And then we'll do some San Marzanos. Ah, no, come here. There we go. Well, neighbor, here's the thing. This was both easier than I thought and harder than I thought. So I'm really curious to hear what your tips and tricks and experience with making soil blocks are. And if you are interested in getting any of the items, like the soil block makers, I will link them down below. Though I don't know that this was like a really good, like, yeah, you should totally do it since there's so many mysteries that we have to solve. And of course, if you need help with what to grow and when to grow it, go get your free seasonal gardening guide at www.wildfloridian.net/guide. Okay, I'll see you soon. Bye.